Alright, so what we got? Back on the Loadstar. Took the bed off, as you can see. Going to cut the frame down and probably shorten this thing up. So, not really sure about the drive lines. I think I can piece these two trucks together and get a shorter drive line altogether, but I'm not sure if everything kind of will mesh up, or if we had to get any kind of different U-joints or whatever. But anyway, I'd like to shorten it up a little bit at least. If not, we'll shorten it to wherever we want and then just get a custom drive shaft made. So hopefully in this video we'll get this thing cut, get the rear section cut off the S model, and start trying to piece them together. Hopefully we can get them at least tacked together, hopefully weld them together. Not sure yet, like I say, on the length, but I'll probably just set the truck level, the frame level, match the S model up, and then we'll build a section of frame to kind of tie the two together, so it'll be like a little drop section. That's kind of my plan anyway. Obviously don't want it raked like this, so we want the whole thing lower, so that's what we're going to do. So anyway, instead of rambling on here, let's go ahead and get this over here and get to cutting. Alright, so back on the Loadstar again today. Kind of got it set over here a little close to the building so I can do a little bit of work, especially with the cutting and re-welding. So still, I don't think my leads are long enough, so we'll have to look at that. But anyway, some good news is the drive line, I did some measuring yesterday, and everything is compatible. So it's the same size U-joints, same size drive lines and all that stuff. So I should be able to mix and match. But as of right now, I think what we'll do is unbolt the drive line, take it out, take the drive line out of the S model lopro, and we're going to use the front drive shaft off of the lopro and the rear drive shaft off of this Loadstar, and that should give us the shortest combo. And then I think what we'll do is cut the frame kind of here as close as we can to these perches, and still leave a usable rear section in case somebody else needs this. I guess I'll have to come down to where it flattens out here somewhere. And then cut, same thing on the lopro, cut it as close as we can, a usable distance. And then that way we can cut a piece out of either one to use to kind of make our frame bend. So like I say, we're going to drop this frame down level with the ground, step up to the rear S model lopro rear section. That's my plan anyway. And hopefully we can finagle all these measurements and actually make the drive line work, like I say, out of the two, which should give us an 84-inch cab to axle. So hopefully that'll look good on the lower chassis. Scoot this forward 2 foot, because that's about what it'll come forward. So yeah, hopefully that's a good plan. And anyway, it's the only plan I got, so that's what we're going to run with. I'm sure we'll run into plenty of problems, but we'll just cross that bridge when we get there. This bushing off the drive line on the S model will come about to the front of this cross member. So I believe all we need to do is make something here to hold that instead of having to remove the whole cross member. This one just unbolts, so shouldn't be too big of an issue there. And then, like I say, the rest of the drive line, all the U-joints are the same size and everything, so at least that we got that going in our favor. May never have brakes or drive again, but at least we have a drive line that'll fit. But yeah, hopefully we can get the brakes and the steering going good on this thing next. But right now I want to focus on this so we can at least roll it around and it looks halfway decent instead of goofy, so we can get it pieced together and kind of see what we want here and kind of envision the vision that we have for this truck and see if it suits what we want. So anyway, let's get to cutting this up, and hopefully it's what we want and we got enough metal left over to kind of piece this together somehow. So let's do it. So I took a quick measurement of the frame on the front to the ground. Now this is just on gravel, and this is all kinds of uneven here. but it's 15 inches. So I think what we'll do is we'll put some blocks up here around the 15-inch mark. So it looks like that'll drop us about 5 inches right here. Quite a bit more back here, but that way once we cut this in two, we can set this down on the blocks at roughly 15 inches. So I think what I'll do is once we get it cut, we'll start jacking and blocking the frame up till it's sitting pretty level, maybe. I don't know. And that way we can level up the new rear section and then kind of get everything parallel and plumb. Whatever we can do as best we can on the ground here. I think that'll be their best option. So anyway, I'm going to grab some blocks and get this thing blocked up and on a jack, so when I cut this, we can lower it down to the blocks and hopefully not have any issues there. And we'll just get this thing out of the way. If anybody wants a good Loadstar rear end, I got one. The brakes, I went all through the brakes, they're good. These good tires, the tires are good, they're bias ply, but they're good. Same thing with the front axle. I don't need it anymore. I sure ain't gonna piece that Lowpro back together, so yeah, I'll be getting rid of those soon. Anyway, let's get to cutting. Well, that come loose easier than I thought, for it being so rusty. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna measure off this cross member, and I'm not too worried about accuracy at this point. So I'm gonna cut this about 38 inches from that cross member. And that way it's got a good square section if somebody ever wants to reuse this rear section for anything. It's good and squared up, you know, past the bend, because this frame tapers just behind this mark here. So hopefully that'll be okay. And that's from the front of the cross member. Okay. Perfect. Now that should leave us plenty of frame to cut off, so I'll have to cut this again, but I wanted a little bit of excess to kind of work with. So I'm gonna cut this here, and then we'll go over here and look at the Lowpro model and see what we need to cut there. So yeah, I don't know if my plasma cutter will reach. I'll try, but I don't think it will, because I ain't really worried about this cut. It'll be rough, but I'm not sure how well it'll do with the double frame. if that'll be an issue with the plasma cutter. So if not, we'll just run through a bunch of cutoff wheels and get this thing hacked in two. Clean me off a little spot for ground. I'm gonna try the plasma cutter. I mean, you can see what kind of mess this is. Barely does reach. I may end up having to, whenever I weld it, take the plug loose inside and reroute my cord just to get it out here, because I don't have an extension for the cord, and I don't think the leads will reach as far as this will. So yeah, got to figure that out before we weld this thing together, but oh well. Let's get to cutting. So finally got this cut. Had to use cutoff wheels. There's some frame jacking in here on this side. The plasma, I cut a little bit of it, but where it was a double frame and so much rust in it, it started blowing all over the place. So I just give up on that. Let's try to lower this thing down about level here. I think I said the front was about 15 inches. So 2 8-inch blocks should be 16 inches, if my math's correct. So that's fairly close to where it would be sitting normally. So yeah, not too bad. That lifted the front just a little bit, maybe an inch or two. The hooks was almost in the ground. Now they're raised up a little bit. We may not be making no progress yet, but we're sure getting some stuff tore up. Didn't think I'd ever get to this point to actually cutting it in two. I'm glad it's coming along. So now I'll have to get, like I say, some cutoff wheels so I can cut the S model, the Lowpro frame, and recut this one. And I could have went ahead and cut it a little shorter, but I wanted to leave as much as I could for right now. And that way, when I finally do my measurements, and I probably cut these on a little bit of an angle, just so it angles up to the rear section. I don't know if that's better, if I should just do straight. I figured angle would look a little better, or maybe be a little less, stress inducing joint. So I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I probably have to quit for this, or on this for today, and get me some cutoff wheels in the morning. So we'll be back on this probably tomorrow or the next day. Looking good so far. Alright, so I'm not sure where all this video's at. It's been chopped up into several days, but anyway, here's where we're at currently. So I went ahead and lopped off the rear end off of the S model, cut it off straight, just a few inches in front of the spring hangers here. And so now I'm trying to decide how long I want this truck. So right now I just got it set in there, just rolled it up and set it there. I clamped some boards on it, that way if it does slide off here, it ain't gonna tip up too much, it'll catch them boards. So you see it's balanced pretty good. But anyway, if my measuring is correct, which it probably is not, because I've been wrong on this several times, I can cut the frame right here, and this section will butt up. It'll be a step, but it'll butt up, and then we can get an idea of what it looks like at this wheelbase. So if I cut it here and slide this up, this is going to be an 84-inch cab to axle. Now I can't decide if that's what I want, or if I want a 60-inch cab to axle. I want it to look, get the proportions correct, so I want it to look good, or as good as this truck's going to look. But I figure I'll just cut it here first, and we'll see what it looks like. Then we can always go farther if it's still a little bit too long. Now the frame is a little bit low here, 8-inch block and then a 4-inch block, so that's 12 inches right there off the ground. The front is like 14, 15 inch, the frame rail is off the ground, sitting on the suspension. So I started to leave it on the two 16-inch blocks, but I dropped it down. Now I'm gonna kind of put a couple wedges in there to get it somewhat level, because we're doing this on the ground and it's kind of sloping that way, so it's not ideal for getting a good true and straight frame welded up here, but oh well, good enough. Let's see, I guess what we'll do now is go ahead and mark the frame and cut it. I had measured the drive lines, all that stuff's the same. I think I've already mentioned that in this video. But I was mistaken on, I thought that it was going to be the right length for an 84-inch cab to axle if I pieced the drive lines together, but I wasn't thinking correctly. It's going to only be like 10 or 11 inches shorter if I took both pieces of the drive line. So we still will have to get a drive line cut down for this, but I want to get the axle cab to axle length the way I want, then we'll measure for a drive line. That way it's going to have to be cut anyway, so we'll get this the way we want it, and then we'll worry about the drive line. But this cross member is what bolts onto the Loadstar front drive line. I think I'll use the S model front drive line. That way this will be the hanger will be a little farther forward, or carrier bearing, I guess what you call it. And it'll give us a longer rear drive line, because once we scoot this up, it'd be a pretty short little drive line, so I feel like that'll be better. We'll go ahead and use the S model front drive line and give us a little bit more length on the rear drive line. So anyway, I guess that's about it. We'll go ahead and mark this, cut this. We'll scoot this up. We'll just kind of set it there, butt it up against it. I know these are straight cut right now. I may do some kind of fancy finagling. Probably not. Probably just be a straight cut. I'll butt this up at the proper height, tack it, and then we'll piece it in. Get us a little angled piece instead of trying to cut and get it all to line up. Now, if I was in a shop on good and had all this good and level and squared up, maybe. But for right now, I think this is the easiest for us. So this ain't gonna be hauling no weight ever. I might, my plan maybe put a tool bed on it, and I don't even know if I'll do that. But for right now, we're gonna stick these two together. We'll brace all this up nice and somewhat neat, and go from there. I mean, if the 84 don't look good and we can finagle it, maybe we'll do some fancy welding, but right now we're just gonna butt it up, see what it looks like. If it looks good, we'll square everything up best we can, tack it, and that's where it'll ride. So let's get to cutting. Now, if your name is J.C. Smith and you're seeing this, look away right about now, because this is nowhere near that kind of quality. And if you guys haven't seen his stuff, go check it out. It's really, really good. Now, there's our two straight cuts. Let's measure again, just to be sure, and see if this is going to come out right. Because I don't know on a cab to axle length, is it truly measuring from the back of the cab to the dead center of the axle is 84, and then your bed accounts for that and gives you a little bit of gap? I don't know. I guess it does. That's what I'm gonna go with in my mind. So anyway, let's get this thing cut. I think this little bandsaw is faster than cutoff wheel, faster than the plasma. I tried the plasma and it didn't do too good where the double frame had some rust jacking over there, so it's just blowing all back at my face. I get a little zigzaggy with this thing, but I feel like that was a lot faster than a cutoff wheel. And the buddy of mine that borrowed my mag drill loaned me this, and it's doing really good. This is pretty good. Now I could probably cut a little straighter, but I'm cutting about as fast as it'll go, and still a little zigzag. But I'm still in the silver. I'm still on the line, so that's good enough. But I think this is a lot faster than a cutoff wheel, and I ain't choking to death, and yeah, a lot better. So let's change the battery. I've already cut. I cut this frame off with this on this same battery already. And this is only a 5 amp hour, and it's getting about dead. So let's go charge this. I grab another battery. I got an 8 amp hour, and we'll finish these cuts. Okay, so I lied. My 8 amp hour was dead too. So I had a 5 amp hour, and my other 8 amp hour is over in the truck. So I didn't want to walk that far. See if we can't get this thing cut up from the bottom here. Now, not sure how that looked on camera, but it actually is easier than the cutoff wheel. And I mean, you get, you know, metal shavings, chips all over you, but not like the cutoff wheel. Okay, so there is roughly an 84-inch cab to axle length. What do you think? I can't decide. I kind of want to shorten it up a little bit more, but I don't know. I can't make up my mind. All right, so I'm still trying to decide. So help me out here. So what if I was sneaking up on it here? Is that a good looking truck? Or you say, well, maybe it's a little bit too long. It's not exactly lined up, but it's pretty close. Oh, so the frame would go a little bit lower in the back. It's still got about 2.5 inches of solid steel blocks welded in there for some reason. I think this truck was used, the Lowpro was used as a logging truck, and that was in case the bag gave out. It wouldn't try to roll it over, I guess. But we'll get rid of those, and that should drop it down another couple of inches when you let the air out of the bags. So I'll probably end up having to put bags on the front just to get it to not hit the oil pan. But what do you think about that? I don't know. I'm kind of thinking I like it like that, but I'm curious to see what it looked like a little bit shorter now. we're getting close now. Okay, so I spent a few minutes going around off camera and leveling this frame up. So I got some blocks under it, cut me some little wedges, and I mean, I got as close as I could with my level, so close enough for me. So also I went ahead and leveled across the tires just to kind of get the axle roughly level. Now I'll fine tune the frame and get it as level as I can. But first I got to decide this right here, how high do I want this step to be? And I mean, it looks pretty good where it's at. I don't know, but now I gotta remember there's 2.5 inches of blocks in here, so this will roughly be ride height of the truck. So do I want it to set level when those bags are flat and just a little bit nose high when it's rolling down the road? Probably, because I don't want the bags to go flat and then it be kind of Carolina squatting, I guess, when it's just sitting there. So I'm gonna do some more measuring here and try to get an idea of how much a step I want in the frame. And then we'll try to make this look a little neater. I know it don't look that great right now, but we'll try to fancy that up a little bit and see if we can't make it look a little bit better. But that's getting a little bit ahead. So first off, let's take a ratchet strap, pull these two together, and then level this rear frame, and then we'll start taking some measurements. Crude as they may be, that's what we're going to go by off the ground. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, so that's pretty close to being level, or those two frames parallel with each other, you know. I still don't know my distance here yet, and I think the rear axle stuff needs to slide over this way a little bit to line up a little bit better. But yeah, that's getting close. It looks like it runs downhill back here, but the level on it, it's pretty close. It might be a little bit off, but like I say, the whole axle needs to scoot this way just maybe 1/4 of an inch to line the frames up a little better. Might have to cut these blocks out. I don't know yet. Anyway, let's scoot this whole assembly over this way just a little bit and recheck it. Okay, so there it is, lined up, fairly level, pretty straight with itself. Not perfect by any means. And I got to looking, these outer rails are warped and crooked. I don't know if it's, you know, from a bed that was on it. I know they hauled logs for a while. There's a bunch of weld back here and spots, so those are kind of throwing it for me because one of them is a little bit higher than the other. But the rails are parallel with each other, so they look good. But as far as being straight with the truck, looks pretty good. Still kind of looks a little crooked, so we'll do some more measuring stuff obviously before we weld this up, but I just wanted to get an idea of how this is going to look. So I still think it's crooked, and I still think I got a lot to do to get this straight, but we are making a little bit of progress. And I still haven't measured to see how high I want this. I kind of wish I had cut these chunks of metal out of here to let this set all the way down on the bump stops and then attach it there level. I mean, that's pretty close, I guess. That way when it's all the way down, it's sitting pretty level. Like I said, I don't want it going downhill after I air it down, so I'm not sure how much that'll drop. You know, I know that'll drop 2.5 inches roughly back here, but as far as if I welded that the way it is, how much is it going to drop the frame here in the middle that you'll see? So I'll probably cut these out. I don't know how good those are welded in. Tons and tons of stick weld built up on there, but it looks really, really trashy. So it's probably full of holes. Maybe we can get that cut off there pretty easy. I don't know. And then once that's set down, go ahead and attach it. So in my mind, what I could do is just come down 2.5 inches here and attach it, and that would be right. I don't know. But yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with the 84 cab to axle. I kind of like it a little bit longer looking there in the chassis. And then, like I say, may grab a tool bed and put on it. I don't know. May try to readapt the flatbed and shrink it down some. I don't know what you guys think. What'll look better? I don't know. I'm still kind of leaning toward the tool bed. So, yeah. I believe what I'll do is raise this up a couple of inches. That way it's going uphill, level it back up, let it meet this, you know, about 2 inches, 2.5 inches higher, and that's where we'll attach them. But before that, we need to kind of grind them to get a good weld bead in there. And I'll probably cut the outer frame off and then cut this angle off of this frame. So I'll be cutting this piece off, cutting this double frame off. That way we can weld just the frame together, and then I'll build it all up, you know, with some bracing and stuff in here. Then we'll go back over it with the double frame just to kind of make it look a little better. That's my plan anyway. I don't know. I'm not a welder, not a frame guy, so this is what I'm going to do. I believe it'll be strong enough. So yeah, I think we need to get the tape measure back out and measure and see how bad this is off. It may need a little bit cut off of one frame rail or the other. You know, I just measured off the cross members and marked it. They may be crooked, I don't know. I probably should measure off a hole somewhere that's in the frame. That might be a little bit more accurate, but that's what we did anyway, so yeah. Yeah, I believe we need to raise this up a couple inches, and that's where we'll attach them. I know that won't be level, and we'll have to match the angle back here with that, but I believe we can do it. Well, let's quit yapping and get to working. I didn't even cut anything that made it come loose. It just broke. Well, I guess that's as low as it goes because I squished it down with the tractor a little bit and it didn't move, so I guess them blocks really wasn't doing a whole lot. So I guess that's all the way down. I don't know. But yeah, let's do some more measuring. We'll decide where we want to weld this thing together at. All right, so I went ahead and marked all the lines to cut this kind of outside stuff. So I cut this piece of angle off of this one and this double frame section off of this one. And it's level. It's about as low as it's going to go. The ground's even pretty level right here, so I'm just going to fly with it. Like I said, I leveled both of these already, but I clamped my level onto here and then took some measurements. All of it's coming out good and level, so I think we're pretty close. But for right now, like I said, we'll go ahead and cut these outer skins off of these and get these prepped for welding, and then we'll do tons and tons of measuring again and make sure it's where we want it, and then we'll put some weld to it if I can get my welder out here. So still haven't solved that problem yet. Anyway, let's get these ready. So it took me a second to realize why this wouldn't come loose. There was a screw or a bolt or something rusted off in there. It's on both sides, but I gouged into the frame a little bit, but not too bad. And that won't come out. There we go. Good as new. Now there was some rust jacking on back in the frame, so this actually looks pretty good. Kind of glad we cut it down because there was a bad section in that other one. So yeah, let's cut this and that other side off here and get this ready. Alright, so here's where we made it so far. I cut the double plate off of all this stuff, you can see. And I'm hoping that I can kind of weld those together and then piece some stuff in there to kind of brace it up real good and strong. Probably not perfect or good enough for a lot of weight, but I think it'll be alright for this. So yeah, it's lined up pretty good right there. I mean, it's not, like I say, it's not perfect, but I'll do a little bit more fine tuning on the frame, but we've just run out of time today. Yeah, I don't think she'll look too bad like yet. I'll probably put a tool bed on it. I may try to get that flatbed to work. I don't know yet. I'm really leaning toward a tool bed. I don't know, you guys let me know what you think. See if somebody can sway me one way or the other. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video here. Like I say, just kind of running out of time, but we got a good jump on it, so don't look too bad. I'm excited. So, I mean, we'll get back on this whenever we can, so probably a few more days. Got to work and stuff, so kind of gets in the way of this. But anyway, let's get out here and get on something else.